Sie hören Sport und Musik.
Das Spiel ist aus! Deutschland ist Weltmeister!
Mario Götze! Mario Götze!
Tonight, whether you call it football, or soccer, a German American and a German in America dare to call it Fußball. German football from an American point of view. Let's add some buns to that hamburger and join them for the Schnitzel Boys Deutschland Hour.
Yeah, and that stick a fork in it, Bjorn. The Bundesliga is done.
Bundesliga is done
for the 2024-2025 season. Done.
Diese Saison ist vorbei.
Diese Saison ist vorbei.
Yeah,
Leute.
It's over.
Kinder.
It's over. Kinder.
Bitte. So the last week,
Club World Cup is coming up. No, anyway.
That's true. We got Bayern and Dortmund are getting ready to go for 2 weeks. They have the tournament of their lives coming up. They really care
the thing that we've all been waiting for.
Yeah. The mega tournament. Will Al Ali or the Melbourne Crushers or whoever the heck is competing? Will the Monterey
Seattle Sounders have got this in their pocket?
Will the Seattle Sounders pull one over on Thomas Muller and the Bayern boys? That's what everybody in the world is dying to know.
So is Thomas Müller playing the Club World Cup? No.
I think he is. He is, right? Why wouldn't he? He's still. I think he was paid. I think I read. I should have Googled this, but I think I read he was given a little bit of an extra bonus, and he'll be with Bayern this summer, which gives me extra incentive to maybe try to go to a Bayern game because it's going to be his last competitive games. But damn for a bit. This is big news. We should know this.
They're not in our area, but Dortmund. I have my eye. We talked about this last week. I've had my eye on this Dortmund Fluminense. You can say this nicely.
Yeah,
Flumi.
You say. I'll say it, and you say it. Fluminense. Yeah, there you go. Very good. There's a little Italian lilt to it. The Portuguese, the Brazilian Portuguese is about swallowing. It's like on the Fluminense. It's in the nose. Fluminense. There you go. Fluminense, Flamengo, Corinthians, Sao Paulo, right? But yeah, they got Thomas Muller. Here we go. Yes, Thomas Muller will be participating in the FIFA Club World Cup with Bayern Munich. This will be his final appearance before he leaves the club after 25 years. Maybe I need to go to a game, dude. There's one in Cincinnati. Maybe it's time for me to fly to Cincinnati.
As we established last week, ticket prices are coming down.
Yeah, I mean, like the one game I'd like to see is the Bayern Boca game. Those ticket prices aren't going anywhere. I think those are like $111.
Where is this?
Miami, also where my family is, so it would make sense for me to go to that one.
$111 though. That's not. I mean, considering what some of these numbers were, it's not terrible.
Well, it's Dortmund is $30. I'm more of a $30 guy.
Well, then you gotta come to New Jersey. Come to New Jersey for the $30 ticket.
Come on down to New Jersey, y'all. We got $30 soccer.
It's
the last batch of $30 soccer.
It's on a Tuesday at noon. Like, what were they thinking? What were they thinking?
They were thinking they were just going to sneak it on by.
Yeah, I don't
know. The reality for both of us is that the United States is hosting 2 tournaments.
Right.
And the United States is a big country, so they can host 2. Heck, they can host 3 tournaments. And the decision they've made is that the FIFA Club World Cup will be mainly, especially in the knockout rounds, all on the East Coast, where the Gold Cup will be on the West Coast. So the Gold Cup is accessible for me, but the Club World Cup is more accessible for you, I think. So
yes, there's a lot. Yeah, a lot of games are in MetLife Stadium here in New York. Here in New Jersey, including the final, both semifinals. So at some point, everybody's just coming to New York. Everybody who's left is just coming to New York to hash it out.
If Bayern makes
in
the
New
final,
Jersey,
and it's Thomas Muller's like final game, I'll consider coming out. I mean, those tickets will probably be.
It won't be $111. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah. But we'll see. But that might be moot for me. Because the possibility is that right when that's done, Thomas Muller still might be an LAFC player, and I can watch him for half the price.
Is this real? Is there any more?
No,
Do we have any more actual evidence for this, or this is just
no more evidence? No more evidence. Just that
because
report.
I've got opinions. I got opinions about that. But that's really for the. Is it for the USA hour? I don't know. Thomas Müller is in between. He's straddling both hours currently, supposedly.
The Schnitzel Boys hour.
Marco Reus had a good game for once.
I was going to say we have to talk about Marco Reus, but I guess we'll talk about it.
That's going to be in the next. That's going to be in the next hour. Right now, let's just put this Bundesliga season to bed.
Right.
We had.
So the only really big sort of unknown going this last weekend was the musical chairs of the last Champions League spot between Frankfurt, Freiburg, and Dortmund. And I'll tell you, it did not disappoint. I was watching Conference, which was a great way to watch that, and literally every goal just changed the equation. But Dortmund were able to pull it off.
Yes,
it was all over the place. But
Dortmund pulled it off. For Dortmund, it seemed to be going well. They were already a goal up before the other game even started because they were a little bit delayed, and Dortmund scored immediately. And then a Kiel player got sent off. So you thought, oh, this is going to
it's in the bag.
This is going to be quick. This is going to be over quickly, but that was not the case. But the other game, the Freiburg-Frankfurt game, was pretty dramatic. There was a lot of back and forth. It eventually became clear that Dortmund were going to make it, and then it was going to be only one of Freiburg and Frankfurt. And in the end, it was Eintracht Frankfurt 3-1.
Yeah, I think justice was served. I think the soccer gods offered it right this time around because Dortmund and Frankfurt had a very aggressive, had probably the most outside of Bayern München, because Bayern München always has an aggressive transfer season for the most part, but other German clubs tend to not. They tend to sign a lot of free transfers, that kind of stuff. But Dortmund and Frankfurt over the summer spent money, and they're like, we are spending money on players. We're making a thing. And Dortmund swung around there towards the end under Kovac. They seem to have that great winning streak there towards the end of the season, which is maybe a good clue for them to have perhaps a successful season next year. So Dortmund's a team to look at. And Frankfurt spent, and they got themselves third spot and a Champions League spot. So they got themselves – it couldn't have gone – barring a miracle of them winning the league, it couldn't have gone any better for them this season.
Yeah,
so for them,
that's fair. They had a little bit. It was a little nervy in the last few weeks because they had that third spot kind of. It seemed like they had it wrapped up a few weeks ago, but then they had some trouble here towards the end. But yeah, in the end, good.
There was like a 15 to 20 minute period where Frankfurt were out of the Champions League spots. So it's just like, is Frankfurt going to be eliminated? Because just like you, I'm like, that surprised me. But though they got it, the other part of justice is that RB Leipzig will be out of Europe entirely. Mainz 05 got that spot after a great sort of last hurrah game against Bayer Leverkusen, who might as well also have been Ibiza. Yeah. By the way, that Ibiza trip that people have been talking about for Bayern München didn't seem to affect them at all. They came back. Really. They were in Ibiza. They were relaxed.
And Heidenheim would have had a shot. Heidenheim only needed like a 2-goal win, and they would have been totally safe. But that was not in the cards. That was not exciting, that part, because Heidenheim was losing to Bremen pretty immediately and pretty decisively. So this is now the matchup that everybody's holding their breath for. The relegation playoff is Heidenheim against Elversberg. The world will be tuning in.
Super League, that is not. How did the Super League and the Bundesliga marry a relegation playoff between Heidenheim and Elversberg? Super League, that is not.
That is really, who are we rooting for? They're further apart. I was putting the over/under on the distance between them at 2 hours, and that's more. It's more like 3+. But anyway, they're kind of all in the southwestern no man's land of Germany.
Yeah,
and
let me see how big the Elversberg Stadium is, because the Heidenheim Stadium is pretty small. It's like an MLS. It's like an 18,000 seater or something.
Oh, it's smaller, yeah. And Elversberg, who knows? I don't think I can honestly say I have never seen them play in person or on television.
Then the Ursa Farm Arena, which is able to hold 9,970 people. I mean, it's a USL
9,000.
stadium.
So is that even allowed? Are they even?
They might have to rent a stadium nearby. I'm trying to think. The Bundesliga, I think, has minimums, right? There's like
I don't think 9,900 is not enough. But we'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it, because usually the Bundesliga 1 team survives this. And I think perhaps, well, I guess Heidenheim is a little less good than average 16th place team, but certainly that's also true for the 3rd place team. The point average is usually a little higher in that spot.
Yeah.
But
I can offer an update on the stadium rules real quick.
Okay.
Because there's an article about Holstein Kiel and the same problem last year. Remember, they built a whole new stand for it. But so currently, this is from last year. Currently, Holstein Stadion can accommodate approximately 15,000 spectators with 5,239 seats. Because remember, in Germany, the Bundesliga stadiums have standing room only and stuff. For the Bundesliga, the stadium must have at least 8,000 seats. So 8,000 seats is the minimum, which is low, by the way. In MLS, it's 18,000 seats. But MLS also doesn't really have standing room only. Posing a challenge since adding more seats might reduce the overall capacity below the required 15,000 because they had to replace the standing room only with some seats. So I guess in the Bundesliga, you have to have 8,000 seats. That's sort of the
okay.
So
they
maybe
will make it happen.
They will make it happen.
Well, if you're in like European competitions,
that's a different story.
That's a whole different story, but obviously this is not imminent for Heidenheim or Elversberg. So that's.
But it definitely seems. I mean, if history shows, Heidenheim's got this in the bag. But if Elversberg get in there, heck, I'm in the same boat. I've never really seen Elversberg. I think I saw them once or twice in the Pokal.
I just looking at it. I was kind of doing just 30 seconds of research to be like, are they one of those teams that have a big pocketed sponsor? They're coming out of nowhere, but that doesn't seem to be the case. They just seem like a regular team that has done well for a few years.
Like Heidenheim. I root for that.
Like
Elversberg has a small part of American soccer history, which I brought up before. They had an American coach from 2004.
Oh, right. You mentioned that.
Which is like still unheard of today, but definitely unheard of then. It could have very well been the first coach in European soccer,
first American ever to come to Europe.
Maybe no, but definitely not one of the earlier ones. He played in the early aughts and then retired and took over as coach for a while. So good for him. There's a story of. I'd love to find this again, by the way. The first American who ever coached in Europe could very well have been this guy in like the early 90s. He was this American millionaire. Back then, that was enough money. And he bought a small Scottish club in Scotland and then hired himself as the coach, even though he had no professional soccer experience. And then did that for like half a season.
Where's the fun in buying a team if you can't do that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, he had to do whatever he wanted to. And there's a document, there's footage of it somewhere. I need to find that again. If you're listening to this and you know the story, email us. It was a small second division Scottish club. He bought it, and then he didn't hire himself right away. He gave the coach a few weeks and fired the coach and then hired himself as the coach. And the players just had to deal with it. And, he was just a dude who bought a team and played make-believe. To deal with it.
That sounds good.
Whoever that is, he might have been the first American coach of Europe. Way before your Bob Bradleys and your Jesse Marshes. And the name of this guy, Elversberg, I keep mixing it up. I want to say let me look up. Is it Tony Enoch?
All right. Well, while you look this up, what else is there?
Brent Goulet. Sorry, Brent Goulet.
Brent Goulet.
Yeah, and Brent Goulet is one of the early guys. He's from Seattle originally, but he went to Europe in the late 80s. Back he could have very well been
before it was cool.
You were joking. He could have very well been in the modern era, one of the first Americans to go back.
The first person to get to collect money for soccer stuff in Germany.
He played for FC Portland from 86 to 87. Then he played
for mighty FC Portland.
Then he played for FC Seattle in 1987. And then he went to Bournemouth, where he played for Bournemouth, then went on loan to Crewe Alexandra. And then back to Seattle, then to Tacoma to play indoor soccer in the day, and then to Bona SC, tennis Borussia Berlin, the 92-94, then Bona, then Oberhausen, Wuppertaler, then Elversberg.
Wow, he got around.
Dude got around.
FC Portland, FC Seattle. So I guess this problem that people make fun of, that Americans have no imagination when it comes to team names, that goes back. I guess that problem goes back.
Portland was composed of both professional and amateur players. Yeah, might as well put FC.
Call it FC. What else? Just to avoid confusion.
And dude, I want to give more to this guy. This guy's originally from North Dakota too. Of all the backwater states to be from, so this North Dakotan went and coached a German soccer team. Man.
So compared to
this Brett Goulet guy needs a little more credit. I think he needs a little more credit. I wonder what he's up to these days. I should find him, get him on the show. Ask about FC Portland.
Could be an honorary Schnitzel boy. He's our kind of
man.
He's
a Schnitzel man.
He's our kind of guy.
Yeah, he's a Schnitzel man. How about that?
I mean,
but anyway, that's why I would be rooting for Elversberg, because I want to take a closer look at this club.
Because in honor of the coach they had 15 years ago. 20 years ago.
Brett Goulet. Brent Goulet. Not to be confused with Bob Goulet. What is any relation? We'll see. But anyway, so Elversberg Heidenheim. I mean, as much as I want Elversberg to go up, it's probably going to be a Heidenheim. We'll see. That's what I'm saying.
We don't know. Heidenheim is at home first. That's got to be a little bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah. Is it always that way, or how does that work?
I was wondering that because, I don't know. I don't know how it works, but that's what's happening this time.
Those are the last 3 competitive games in the German soccer season, not counting the FIFA Club World Cup, are the 2 relegation playoffs, which I guess exists in the top flight and the second division, and then the DFB Pokal featuring Arminia Bielefeld.
Saturday, Sunday?
On the May 31st. So, right?
Oh.
It's in a couple. It's not this weekend.
No.
It's like next
Is that
weekend.
true?
Am I wrong?
Why is it not?
Right.
Why is it not this week? I bet it's this weekend.
It's got to be right.
Yeah, it's on Saturday. It's on Saturday.
All right.
On Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern.
I put in German Pokal. What do you think we Google autocorrected it
to? German Pokal? German, I don't know.
German Polka.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that makes sense.
But you're right. It is 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Western, here Pacific, on Saturday, May 24th. That makes a lot more sense than what I thought. So it is. So we do have a game this weekend. Mel Korbaz and the Arminia Bielefeld boys from the 3rd division taking on VfB Stuttgart, the darling.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
Yeah, I'm into it. And I'm rooting for my boy Mel Korbaz.
Okay.
Because I'm all about those obscure Germans. All about the obscure German stuff. I'm all about the 2nd division, 3rd division.
The Super League came to an end. Köln stumbled into they got a pretty good win. Hamburg
won 4-0.
And so Köln wins the league. Hamburg stumbled in Greuther Fürth. And so the Super League will be joined by Holstein Kiel and VfL Bochum. We already knew that last week. Bochum, of course, did the most Bochum thing and won their final game on the road.
Barcelona style.
Which, if they could have done a little bit more of that. But anyway, we got within 3 goals of not finishing last. But I don't know.
It goes to show you, though. How big of a factor psychology plays into football.
I suppose.
I mean, maybe the minute there's no pressure, and because they've had pressure all year, the minute that's gone, and they can just start playing soccer, all of a sudden it's the beautiful soccer you've been waiting for all year.
Yeah, it was also they played Brel. I guess Myron Boadu is also looking for a new team. He scored 2 goals and then immediately said farewell.
And then on his sub out, he lifted his transfer mark profile to the camera.
It's like
this is my agent
making call me signs. Yeah. That happened. It was a pretty zippy final day, although not much excitement other than the UEFA Cup, the Champions League, and Dortmund really a miraculous comeback. Freiburg ends up with the negative goal differential, which is really, you shouldn't be in Champions League if you have that.
No.
My opinion.
But Freiburg are in the Europa League, which is very fitting.
Yeah, and Mainz made it into
Conference
the
League, which is
Conference
very
League.
fitting for them.
Do people really want to play the Conference League? Is that not more trouble than it's worth?
Well, I'll say this:
know.
with everyone wants the Champions League, right? Because it's elite,
right?
And then certain clubs really thrive. The Europa League, like when I see a Manchester United or a Barcelona go down and play in or AC Milan go down and play in the Europa League, I think for them it's a disappointment. But there are certain clubs where it's not a disappointment. It's a really cool thing, like your Eintracht Frankfurt, like your Freiburgs,
I mean,
like your Rayo Vallecano, kind of stuff.
I think Man United and Spurs are both very happy to be in it this year.
I mean, if either of them, I think if Spurs win the title, I think they would really enjoy it. But if Man United wins the title, it would just be another thing where they.
Oh no! I don't think that's true. I think they would be just as happy as. I mean, they've been on hard times for a while. I mean, they finished 8th last season, and that was sort of considered the bottom. This is as bad as it could get. And this year was what, like 17? No, 16th or 17th. So I think they're going to be excited if that works for them.
But who's the title more important for? Man United or for like an Eintracht Frankfurt? Who really cares about that title? Which fan group is more deserving? I would say
more deserving. Well, yeah. I mean, in the scheme of things.
But my point is that for Europa Conference League, I think a club like Mainz would really appreciate that. I think the fan base would appreciate it. They get to play your Bodo Glimps or whoever, and you get to spend a little taste of Europe. Why not?
I wonder what the financials are. I guess you get a little bit. There's got to be a little bit of money.
Yeah, and also more income because you host more home games.
Host some more games. Those European nights, even though it's Midtjylland and Bodo Glimt. I don't know. Yeah, it's not exactly Real Madrid, but yeah, okay.
If I'm a Mainz fan, I'd be like, I can now get drunk on a Thursday.
Listen, if my team, if Bochum was in the Conference League, I would move back to Germany. But also not imminent. So
that's how that ended up.
I have a couple questions for you, Stefan.
Shoot, I love these.
Because Kicker had some interesting stats for the. You want to guess who had the most touches of the ball this season of any player?
Of all the Bundesliga?
All the Bundesliga players.
Was it Harry Kane?
No, it's not Harry Kane.
Is it a forward?
It's a midfielder. I mean, as one may suspect, it's a midfielder.
Oh god, touches of the ball. Midfielder. It's not Goretzka, is it?
It's not Goretzka. It is. You want to take another one?
Kimmich?
Yes, correct.
Kimmich. When you said midfielder, it threw me because for Germany he's like.
Well, for Germany he's a right back, but at Bayern he plays the midfield. And not only did he have the most touches this season, he had the most touches of anyone ever in the Bundesliga. I mean, I think with the caveat that since they started keeping track of that kind of thing, which I think is probably.
Yeah, but that's probably also true because the old school game was just kick and run. I mean,
yeah, probably.
I spend more time with the ball now.
That's probably true. Yeah. And do you want to guess who had the previous record, which was set last season? Joshua Kimmich has 4 of the 10 the top 10 highest seasons in this category, but the record was set last season by somebody else.
I was about to guess him again. Was it a club other than Bayern München?
Yes, it was a club other than Bayern München last season.
Granit
Xhaka. Very good. Very good. That is correct.
I get the pattern here.
I mean,
yeah. Granit Xhaka himself quite the season last year. He took some gas up the tank and proved
very much
to be the Burger King. He also with Kimmich last year. Kimmich is McDonald's. Granit Xhaka was the Burger King version last year, and he led the Bayer Leverkusen to a double and almost a treble because they lost the Europa League final. It's the only game they lost.
Yep.
So but they got the domestic double.
Yeah, so that was interesting. Another interesting stat that Kicker had to offer the XG table in the Bundesliga. And there were some numbers that were the top 4 or 5 were unchanged. If you're comparing, Bayern, Leverkusen, Frankfurt, Dortmund, all the same. But there were a couple of the big discrepancy was that Bochum in the XG table is 13th, would have finished 13th.
Just got to finish those chances.
We were well, I mean, this is obviously, these are philosophical. What do you make of it? Is it just luck? Is it just sort of
what do I make of it? I make of it that XG is not a really that useful stat. They say like it's just XG. Everyone's like, oh, but XG. It's like, yeah, but some players have more quality than others. So some players can finish. Those are the more expensive ones that tend to play in the bigger clubs, and some players don't finish as well. So XG is all the same. But if one player
there are very few. There are only very few. There are very few, almost no players who outperform their XG over the course of their careers. Most of the time, it kind of evens itself out. So, but anyway, I thought that was interesting.
Most of the time, the XG tends to play them. That's very, very cool. Well,
I mean, Union Berlin would have been relegated according to the XG table. Kiel was last. Heidenheim was still 16th. But Union Berlin was 17th in the XG table, and Bochum was 13th. Interesting. I mean, this sort of jives with my eye test that Bochum looked competitive in most games, but then ultimately, I mean, in a way, it's worse. I don't know. It doesn't make me feel any better. It makes me feel worse in a way. It's like you just,
Here's a question for you, Bjorn. I think with my eye test, what I was about to get to is the soccer gods, I think, were also pretty appropriate on the bottom part of the table. As much as I love Holstein Kiel, as much as they had a really good late season push, it was a little too late for them. Holstein Kiel have a lot of energy and but they're a lower level club, like they're a Bundesliga 2 club, and I think they're going to make their way back down. And I don't think there was any tomfoolery there. I think they earned their way back down, and I think VfL Bochum are kind of in that same boat. I think they bought themselves an extra season. They kind of escaped last year, and they bought themselves another season. So they're going down too. I have no real complaints about that. I mean, obviously, just not that I wish ill will on Bochum. But Bochum earned their sink.
If you end up with 22 points,
right? They spent no effort in getting reinforcements.
Well, they were. I mean, yes, I agree with you. I mean, I've said this before. It's like this squad was not Bundesliga quality. It never was. And I think, the team last year got 33 points, a bunch of key players left, and they were very poorly replaced. And so that's number one. But on the other hand, there was a moment in the season, because I really thought, they would get like 10 points. But then there was a moment in the season where Dieter Hecking got these guys, and I think this is sort of reflected in this XG situation. Like the eye test said, these guys are okay. They're better than the sum of their parts, and they look like a coherent team. And they got some points against Bayern and against Dortmund that you didn't think they could get. And then with the easier schedule in the end, there was at some point there was a sense of like, oh, this could totally happen, but then it just didn't. So. Certainly, if you end up with 22 points, you're not like ruining lost opportunities. That's a pretty decisive.
Credit to them, though. It wasn't like, was it last year with Greuther Fürth? So we knew they were relegated the whole season, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't one of those situations. We didn't know who was relegated until a week or two.
Until last week, yeah, exactly. So in that sense, credit to Dieter Hecking, credit to a lot of the players, definitely not giving up. Like there was never a sense of like, oh, they're phoning it in. I mean, they always went hard, and now we'll see what happens. I mean, already we know that half the squad's going to turn over. I don't think we're going to see more than 3 or 4 people maybe in the starting 11 a few weeks from now when Bundesliga 2 begins. So there's going to be a total turnover, And even though now there's all this talk of, oh, well, financially in the Bundesliga 2, they are in the top third in terms of budget. I think they need to worry about not going down another level, because they're gonna suit up a bunch of kids, a bunch of new players. It's going to be a whole new squad, and I'm not hoping for immediate promotion. I'm hoping that they can have a solid rebuild year and stay away from the Bundesliga 2 relegation zone, because I would also not be surprised if this would be like, straight the double relegation, because that sometimes happens.
Yeah, that's actually led straight to my next question, which is answered. Was like, how the squad of this quality, how would they even compete in the second division? Sort of what I was asking. Do you think that, in my mind, I think they're going to finish maybe mid-table. I don't think they're definitely swinging back. I think this is a squad of the quality of maybe a mid-table in the Bundesliga 5, perhaps.
Well, I mean, your guess is
you're thinking you're worried that they'll be relegated, pulling an Armenian Bielefeld.
But your guess is as good as mine, because we don't know. A lot of people are leaving. Some
where are they? You said that's also surprising. You said most of the squad is leaving. Is that true? Where are they going?
Well, this is just kind of the way it is. We've got a couple of retirements. Toto Luzia is done. He's 38. Christian Gamboa is done. And then, we have a bunch of loaners, as always. Yeah. We had the emergency January loaners that have like
both on loan and both alone emotionally.
Yeah, exactly. So those guys have buy clauses that are, not realistic. There's no, so those and there's contracts that are expiring. They have some people don't have contracts that are valid in the second Bundesliga, so they go. Then there's a bunch of players that were already going to leave, like Uhrmann is going to Leverkusen supposedly, and Bernardo, he was supposed to go somewhere last summer for a little transfer fee, but he got hurt, and so that didn't happen. So yeah, there's just there's 10 12 guys that we know are leaving, and then who knows who's gonna replace them, and that's gonna make the difference where they end up. But it's gonna be a total turnover, and which is why this would have been tough anyway. I mean, now we have a sport director. Dirk Dufner has taken over. Dieter Hecking is staying. He said he signed a contract extension that includes Bundesliga 2, so there's going to be some continuity. They have some ideas of what they're looking for. So, which like last summer it was total, everybody's fired now. The sport director was no good. He hired the coach that was no good. Their whole squad composition was off. Everything was off. Yeah. So hopefully, yeah, Manuel Lehmann. They almost had a lawsuit going. Like, it was chaos behind the scenes. And there's still there's some strife in terms of who's going to be president. Like, they're at the top of the organization. There's a big election coming. So it's still a little rough behind the scenes, but maybe there's going to be some continuity and they're going to find good people. So we don't know. I mean, there's no I don't have any guesses yet, because we don't really know what half the team's going to look like.
Bjorn, put your name in the ring. You need to run for that presidency.
For president, I'd have to
vote for you. I'm rooting.
To move back to Bochum. I don't know that I want. It's like, that's got to be a hard job,
I just want to see it. That'd be fun for everybody. So this dude with no professional soccer experience is now the president of his boyhood club.
I don't. I think
there are good stories.
I definitely would do above average. Like, I think your average, like,
yeah, put forth effort. A lot of times
I don't think I would do worse than a lot of those people.
Now, there's stories like, I mean, what even is soccer business, to be honest? It's all a lottery. But there's this great story of this Brazilian fan who rooted for his club every week. He was there, the only guy in the stands. Then he ran for president, became president, and then totally revitalized his club. There's stories like that. But anywho, both of them down.
I have some qualities that will probably be better than that. I don't have a huge
caring.
ego. I don't have a huge ego. I listen to people.
You'd be on Transfermarkt getting all the cheap ones. You'd be getting some cheap MLS. You get some Pittsburgh Riverhounds players.
I would get Insigne. I would go and get Insigne immediately.
You can't afford Insigne. What are you talking about? $50 million a year?
Oh, he's not as expensive as he used to be. That's always what I think about going on Transfermarkt. I think we should. I mean, he's not German. He's Austrian. But we should mention your man Oliver Glasner. You're a fan, and he had a big weekend.
Coach. Oh, that's right. And not only the Austrian aspect of it, there's an American aspect to it. Chris Richards.
Yeah, Chris Richards.
And then Matt Turner also gets the medal. He didn't play that game, but he played earlier in the tournament. Chris Richards had himself a solid 90 minutes, and Crystal Palace are FA Cup winners.
Yeah.
And Chris Richards is like the third real. They pulled some fake American. Chris Richards is really only the second American to ever win an FA Cup.
Oh,
they pulled some American-born dude from somewhere who never played for the U.S. Tim Howard won it with Man United back in the day. I always remember that. And then Matt Turner technically also won it, but he's on the
that's right.
But Chris Richards went out there, played the full 90, won the title.
A couple of games. Matt Turner played a couple of games in the earlier rounds.
I don't want to poo-poo. I don't want to poo-poo Matt Turner, but you know what I'm saying. Like there's a difference between in the United States where we celebrate, like, what's his face, the guy who works at LA Galaxy who quote unquote won the Champions League with Borussia Dortmund, Jovan Karofsky. Remember, everyone's like, he's the first American to win a Champions League. It's like, yeah, he was on the books. He wasn't there. I don't even think he was on the bench.
They had some meals together.
It's easy to do that. We can do that all day. But the reality is when you win a title, but a title you've actively played in to win, that's different. And Chris Richards won the FA Cup this year. Did you see that profile of him with his long pants? He did this magazine article the day before. He had these giant dad pants on. I don't know. Good for you, stylish. But yeah, give it up for Oliver Glasner. He was one of my favorite coaches. And Crystal Palace got him in a steal.
Won the FA Cup.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was a fluky win, but still very good, very well defended, sword on a counterattack, and held on. Well done.
That's the point of the cup.
And they had never. I mean, this is really, for those of you not following the Premier League, this is as if VfL Bochum would win the German Cup. Like, this is a team that's never won anything.
Yeah.
And so people were like in tears. Definitely.
Yeah. One fan said he was waiting 70 years for this or something like that, because they probably haven't won the FA Cup in 70 years. Or it was amazing.
So yeah, that was a fun thing.
Very cool. Very cool.
And I guess the only other question. You were going to say something?
Yeah, where's Gio Reyna going? Where's John Tolkien going?
Well, that's what's starting. I mean, my guess is Tolkien is staying. That is what
I was going to say. Should Tolkien stay? Should he hang out in the second division with the Holstein Kiel, or should he seek another Bundesliga club?
If they paid a transfer fee, he has a contract for both. That's got to be the case. But I mean, you were saying maybe somebody wants to pay an exit.
There's an update on that.
Oh, what do you got?
Update. I mentioned it last week, but it's been confirmed via Holstein Kiel podcast, is that he has a very, very low release clause. So getting rid of him is not that big of, like, he can go. I think part of the contract, was designed for him to potentially move.
If this doesn't. Okay.
So it is a very real possibility for him to leave. It's not, there's nothing, the contract's not getting in anybody's way.
I mean, I think he's done all right on that team, and he's going to do even better in Bundesliga 2, right? That team's going to, I mean, I can't say that I 100% know this, but I think my impression was that this team is going to stay together more than, like, let's say Bochum.
Yeah.
And he's done well there, so I mean, why not? I guess you always depends on what the other options are, but he's not going to Bayern. He's not going to Bayern. He's not going to Dortmund.
No,
I mean,
but maybe he's going to Elversberg.
Could go to Werder Bremen or. Yeah.
Well, the yes, 100%. The story of George Bello is maybe the warning here, because George Bello joined Arminia Bielefeld halfway through from Atlanta, money, boop, boop, boop. Then he stayed with Arminia Bielefeld, and I thought, well, he can kind of get lost in the second division. And then they were relegated twice. Then before you know it, George Bello was on the bench of a third division German club.
Yeah, that's not
and
great.
then when's the last time anyone's talked about George Bello? So there is that slippery slope of like ideally, I agree he should stay with the club if indeed they were going to spend 1 year in the Bundesliga, it's fine, then come right back up again. I think sure stay. But I don't know if that's a realistic possibility. I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's true. It might not be, but it's still. I mean, even if he's playing, yeah, I guess it's. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the financials are.
He has proved himself to be a Bundesliga caliber left back, like you said, not Bayern München, but yeah, definitely a Werder Bremen. I personally would love to see him at Gladbach, so him and Joe Scally can be the wingers, work together.
Red and blue.
Red and blue, But yeah, so that's the thing. Gio Reina's definitely got to go. He's just got to go somewhere. That we know.
He has to go. He has gotten no time at all. Unused sub. I mean, the most time he's gotten was against Barcelona in the Champions League. Weirdly,
and he got a few minutes against Holstein Kiel.
But that was like the first time in like 8 games.
Yeah. And I also have a sneaking suspicion that he's going to get some time at the FIFA Club World Cup this summer. That's sort of as a look. Here's an American.
Except it's interesting you bring that up because that was I just read about this. Yes, I mean, Pochettino has said that he's not planning with him at all because he was assuming he would go to the Club World Cup with Dortmund because he's under contract. And so it's not clear. There was some talk that maybe if he's definitely going to leave, they could let him go early and play for the national team. But that's not for sure. And it's not clear that Poch would even call him up since he hasn't played. So question marks.
Those are the questions. What's the question you had, Bjorn?
The last question I have is, what has Jurgen Klopp done to the Red Bull empire? Everything has gone completely down the tubes ever since he showed up. What is happening, Stefan? RB Salzburg not making the Champions League, not close.
Really?
RB Leipzig, for the first time since they've come into the Bundesliga, are not in Europe at all. I haven't checked on the Brazilian team. I don't know. But
maybe the Brazilian team's crushing. Yeah, you're right. RB Salzburg is behind Wolves.
Focus all his energy on the Brazilian team.
Maybe that's what's going on. That's probably the gig. It's like I get to live in Brazil.
So I mean, you're right.
Austria Wien, Wolfsburg.
He has not made them better. We can say that.
But look, Las Linz is in the relegation zone.
And the Red Bull, I hadn't even mentioned the New York Red Bulls. We'll get to that in the next hour. But yeah,
well, it's not looking good for them either. They have
everybody's certainly taken a step down ever since Jurgen Klopp showed up.
Hedgibu Bragantino is 4th place in the Brazilian league.
Okay, is that good for them?
Maybe
good or bad?
It's great. I mean, the 4th best team in Brazil right now, behind Palmeiras, Flamengo, and Cruzeiro.
All right.
3 traditional clubs.
So this is the answer. Jurgen Klopp has focused all of his energy and efforts into the Brazilian league.
I mean, Santos and Grêmio are in relegation spots. Santos featuring Neymar. And then Sao Paulo and Botafogo are 10th, 11th. Corinthians is 8th. Fluminense is 7th. So
that's not bad.
That's the answer. That's the answer. He's crushed it down in Brazil, but not crushed it anywhere else because since he's joined the Red Bull Empire, the New York Red Bulls have lost their identity and gotten worse. And yeah, Red Bull Salzburg 4th place in the Austrian. Are you kidding me? In Austria, they're 4th place? I mean, what the heck?
That's not what they've been. Yeah, I mean, in RB Leipzig, they've had a disaster of a season, and now a bunch of people are presumably going to leave.
Still no coach, right? Isn't RB Leipzig still uncoached?
That's there. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, Jurgen Klopp is not helping. Too many commercials, not enough coaching input.
But also the greatest question is what's he doing there, and what is his real day-to-day job? And maybe
he's the head of something, right? I mean, the buck stops with him.
Yeah,
he's the head of global. Isn't that his title? Head of global soccer.
I think that's his title.
I mean,
I love that title. That'd be like, I mean, soccer is a sport. How do you be head of a sport? So it's like,
should we not?
Hi, my name is Stefan.
Is
I'm
it wrong?
the head of the New York Knicks. I'm the head of basketball.
Head of basketball. But should we not? Is it wrong to hold him responsible for these results?
Well, he's getting paid.
He's the head of soccer.
Yeah, he's head of
the
soccer.
Is bad, and the soccer is bad.
He should change his name to God of Soccer. Soccer God 1. Red Bull Soccer God. Listen, he wanted to retire, and then 6 months later, Red Bull's like, here's a bunch of money to do something. And he's like, sure, why not? Why would he say no to that?
Well, I'm just surprised that this hasn't come up. No one seems to be because
no one knows what they're doing.
But here in the Schnitzel Boys, we're asking the hard questions. What is happening, Jürgen?
Yes. What is your job? What's going on? Then what's going on? But anyway, that is the Germany Hour. Yes. We will check in next week about the DFB Pokal featuring Mila Kurbaz. We'll check in on some FIFA Club World Cup previews, perhaps, maybe some transfer news.
Yeah, and
we'll see you all next week.
And but you should come follow us to the USA Hour and hear me gloat. I mean, actually, I don't think so. I'm not gonna.
That's not true.
I'm not gonna be.
We're gonna talk the Derby. We're gonna talk the Trafico Derby. We're gonna talk the Florida Derby.
I watched a lot of MLS this weekend. Right. It was very entertaining. Messi is
Marco Reus.
Marco Reus had a good game.
Marco Reus has finally woken up, realizing he's the highest paid player on the lowest ranked team. So he needs to do something about that.
The old people. There were two groups this weekend. There were the good old players and the bad old players. And
the good old boys and the bad old boys.
Yeah. And Marco and the good old boys were definitely the smaller group, but Marco Reus was one of them. Anyway, we'll see you over there.
Put the flutter in my heart. See you there. Tschüss. It's done.